Now, in previous vlogs, we've solved quadratic equations using the factoring method, using the square root property, and using a method called completing the square. So this is, if you haven't watched those, please watch those before watching this. This will make more sense. Now we're going to talk about the formula. It's a fourth way, the quadratic formula of solving quadratic equations. Now, in this formula that you see right here above, this formula will solve any kind of quadratic equation, except one type, which we will discuss later in this vlog. But if you can factor a quadratic where the answers are 2 and 1 or whatever, or a fraction, or if you have square roots and the answers, this will work for those examples. Now, when do you even use this? If I can factor a quadratic, it'd be easier just to factor it. But if you are unable to factor it, maybe the quadratic is prime and you can't factor it, use this formula. It'll work. Now, the first requirement for this formula, the quadratic formula, is that the equation has to be in standard form. Let me show this now. Now, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. This is standard form. It's the one we've used for factoring and whatnot. Well, factoring. So, we have here before us 6x squared minus 5x minus 4 equals 0. We need to identify a, b, and c as our first task. Okay, so this is our A, B, and C. Now, where do they even come from? Watch. All right. If this is in the wrong order, if your B term is in the right place, you have to rearrange your equation to be in standard form first. Once you've done that, identify your A, B, and C terms, and now you have your formula. Okay. Now, I tend to write the formula over and over again, and then I remember it. You have to memorize it. The more you write it, the easier it is to remember it. Now, we have to plug in our A, B, and C into our formula. Okay? Okay. Now, you'll see that I'm emphasizing using a parentheses. The reason being is that if we use parentheses, we'll know if the formula has a negative or if the number is negative. Like our B term, negative 5 but it's negative 5 because of the formula. So really that negative 5, take the negative that is positive. And then we have negative 5 squared. It's going to be positive 25. So I recommend using parentheses. I use them to make sure I don't make any many mistakes. And now we're going to work to solve it. See, now I'm following the order. I'm going through and solving the problem step by step. Yeah, it's so easy to make errors on here. I often have to erase all my work and fix it over again. I don't want to do it again. I want to do it once if I can. So I take my time. Now we have the square root of 25 plus 96. So what is it even worth? What is it? What's the answer? I think 121, but let me check. Okay, now I'm close to the end here. Remember that quadratic equations can have two solutions. Here we have 5 plus and minus square root of 121 over 12. The square root of 121 is a perfect square. It's 11. Okay, so now we can proceed. Okay, we have two solutions, negative a half and then positive 1 and 1/3. Those are two rational solutions. There's no square roots involved, but we will have square roots involved in our answers. Right now, looking at those without square roots, I know I could factor it. Now we'll do a second problem, and we'll see what happens there. Now I have 4x squared minus 8x plus 1 equals 0. It's already in standard form. That's good. Now we can identify our a, b, and c for negative 8 and 1. We'll do that now. Okay, now you'll see b isn't just 8, it's negative 8, because in our equation we have negative 8x. We have to keep our signs carefully. Now I'll do my parentheses and fill in the numbers. Okay, now I'll fill my answers, my A, B, and C, my numbers. Okay, now I have them all filled in properly, and let me see if I'm right. A, B, 4AC. Okay, I'm good. Now I can go ahead and compute my answer. I'm going to follow the order here and take my time. Okay, you see what happened? 8 squared, well, negative 8 squared is 64 and it's positive. Minus 4 times 1 is 16. Now 64 minus 16, let me think, what's the answer for that? Let me do my scrap work to make sure I get it right. Okay, now I have 8 plus and minus the square root of 48 all over 8. All right, now this is not a perfect square. 48 does not have it has a perfect square in there maybe. So but we're going to have a radical in our answer. It's an irrational answer. 4x squared minus 8x minus plus 1 is prime. We can't factor that, so we use a formula instead. Now, square root of 48 can be simplified. Don't leave it as it is. There are another perfect square within the square root. I think 16 is within 48. Okay, so this is simplified. Now we will put it into our problem where it belongs. Now, this x with 8 minus 4 squared root times square root of 3 over 8 and 8 plus 4 square root of 3. These can be simplified further, and we'll break that up and see what happens. Those are our final answers.